Hello guys and welcome for another video. So today will be a video that I wanted to do for a long time now. It's going to be a tier list of what operators I think you should pick in IS and what operators you shouldn't. So let me explain this tier list a bit. First of all, I want to be very clear, this is not a tier list intended to beat the highest level of ascensions every time. This is a tier list made for players who simply want to collect all rewards and feel the accomplishment of having cleared at least everything once. So here are the goals I expect you to achieve with this. In IS2, you'll clear hard mode at least once and you'll beat every boss at least once in any difficulty. In IS3, you'll beat every boss with every squad in any difficulty, but you'll also clear Surging Waves 15 at least once. Finally, in IS4, this will be much more difficult because you'll clear every boss with every squad in at least Braving Nature 12, and you'll also be clearing Braving Nature 15 at least once. So again, even though I've played this game mode a lot, even though I am quite knowledgeable about a lot of things, I want you to understand that this is still a very subjective tier list. There's nothing objective about this, and also, as you can see, this will not be including children, men, or unreleased operators. Simply because, well, unreleased, I have not played them, so I don't know them enough, and I don't play any children or men. This is a waifu tier list. However, that doesn't mean I can't put my insights on children operators or men operators. I'll still be doing this. Still, they won't be included in the list. Oh yeah, before everything, as you can see, here are the tiers. D tier will be for never pick this operator. C tier will be for you should not pick this operator most of the time. B tier is this operator is probably a bit niche or a bit tech for if you have some specific relics. A tier will be for you should definitely pick this operator most of the time. S tier is you pick this operator no matter what. Bruh tier is for one specific operator that I don't think anybody has any doubts about. Alright, let's go. Alright, first operator, Saria. Saria is either the tippity top of A tier or low S tier. The reason why she would be low S tier would be because she has a lot of competitions nowadays with Shu, and whenever you want to pick a defender operator, usually you want to pick, for example, Jessica Alter or maybe Horn if you lack some damage. I will put Saria in S for now. Again, definitely not the best defender in the game. Siege. Siege should probably be D tier. For a simple reason is that she doesn't do anything particular. You can pick Saga, she's gonna be better most of the time. If you have dodge relics, you should pick Flametail. I don't think Siege has any goal in IS whatsoever, and that's pretty sad. But that's how it is. Shining. Shining is probably going to be B tier. You definitely don't want to pick Shining most of the time. This is why she's going to be B tier. That's a tech unit. You're probably going to pick Shining against, for example, the Last Knight in IS3 or Eikthirnia in IS4. Simply because you're gonna want as much defense as possible, and she comes with both defense buff and healing, which is very good for both of these bosses. If we don't count these bosses, she should probably be D tier, but because these bosses exist, I think she should be B tier. Nightingale. Nightingale is probably going to be A tier. She's not the best healer in IS, simply because the healing output is not that high. There's not a lot of enemies that deal high arts damage, weirdly enough. Still, she's an AoE medic. She can taunt for example, against Sammy's Will with her thingy. So she definitely deserves A tier in my opinion. Ifrit is a child. Eyjafjalla. Eyjafjalla is one of the strongest casters in the game, even by nowadays standards. I think simply because she's one of the strongest, she deserves S tier. If you use Logos, she probably should go down A tier in my opinion, but the simple fact that she benefits so much from spinach-like relics that she can be used both for ally fights and for bosses, in my opinion, makes her deserve S tier. Exusiai. Exusiai is probably C tier in my opinion. She's not completely useless, which is why she's not going in D, but most of the time you don't want an entire sniper, particularly one that doesn't do much in IS besides dealing damage. I know you can debuff enemies and deal damage with Exusiai, but at the same time you can debuff enemies and deal damage with any other operator. So I don't think Exusiai nowadays, with all the sniper competition there is, deserves more than C tier. She probably could be like at the end of B tier, I'm not sure. For now I'm gonna put her in C tier. Angelina, weirdly enough, is probably a B tier. She's probably the definition of tech unit. In IS-2, she has a specific role with 2 relics that exist. Well, the first one exists in IS-2, 3 and 4, and the second one only in IS-4. So these are the hand that deals 3% of current health per hit, which works with every hit on her S2, and the one that increases damage taken when enemies start going in weightless or are released from weightless. So these are extremely good relics in Angelina. I heard she has a specific module in IS-5, so I expect her to be even better in IS-5. But for now, she's just a pretty good unit that you can use, for example, against the Bear in IS-2 if you have the right relic, or against Sammy's Will in IS-4, or against a lot of other enemies, really. Oh yeah, I forgot, Ifrit. Ifrit is probably, I would say, A tier or S tier. I'm not sure, I'm not using her enough. The simple fact that she can reduce defense and resistance probably puts her at least A tier, that's for sure. Silver Ash, he's a man, so he's gonna end up here. As for where he should be, it's probably S tier in my opinion. Again, I don't want to talk too much about him. I have not played him enough, but in my opinion he's S tier, simply because Yato Alter and Texas Alter are extremely good in this mode, and he reduces the redeployment time for both of them, and redeployment time in general, so that's a very good buff. So yeah, I think he deserves S tier. Hoshiguma. Hoshiguma is B or C tier. I would say she's B tier, at the very low B tier, because she's one of the strongest tanks in the game, so she can be used to tank, for example, Eikthyania and IS-4. The issue with Hoshiguma is that a lot of tanks can do basically the same as she does. There's no real reason to pick her most of the time. Still, she again tanks even more than the other tanks, so yeah, she can be used for sure. Skadi. Skadi, there's only one reason why you could pick Skadi, is that you have Gladia already. But the issue in picking Gladia nowadays, even though I love Gladia, she's my favorite operator in the game, is that there's a lot of competition for specialist 6 stars. There's Ella, there's Texas Alter, there's Yato Alter, there's Spectre Alter. The list is long. It's kind of weird justifying putting her in C. I would pick her at the very low C tier, simply because she's not completely useless if you have Gladia for sure. Still, most of the time you should definitely not pick her. Chen. Chen is, I would say, B or A tier. I would say is the very low B tier. She's not useless at all. It's just that nowadays there are much better guards, like Degenbrecher, Surtur, this kind of things. Still, if you have, like, for example, spinach-like items, she's not completely useless. She can help, for example, your Mudrock, your Penance with her SP regen. She's not entirely useless. She can be useful in some situations. Still, I probably wouldn't advise to pick her most of the time. Schwarz. Schwarz is between S and A. The issue with Schwarz is, again, like Exusiai, she's a sniper. Schwarz has 2 unique things she does, is that, first of all, she buffs other snipers, and snipers are a very good class in IS. There's Whistle, which, oh, we really wonder where Whistle is gonna end up, right? And also, she reduces defense and can also ignore dodge with her, I think, Y module. So the ignore defense can be very handy if you want to fight Phantom, for example, in IS-2. And the reduced defense can come very handy for literally everything. So I think she deserves probably S tier, but the very low part of S tier, I would say, because there's a lot of other snipers I would pick over Schwarz. You know what? I'm gonna put her at the very high A tier. Again, I think the issue with Schwarz is why she's very good against bosses. Against regular enemies, there's so many better operators, I would say, that I will put later. Heidegger is a dude, so we don't care. I have no idea how to evaluate this guy. The issue with Musha operators is that he has only 1 block. That's not gonna cut it in IS most of the time. I think he's a pretty good duelist, so he would probably go, I don't know, like, he's a guard, probably B tier, something like that, I'm not sure. Magellan. Magellan is one of the hardest operators to evaluate in the game. She's not particularly useful nowadays. I mean, her slow and bind can come in pretty handy. The invisible is very weird. I would have never expected her module to be this. The issue is, why would you want to pick Magellan over Ling most of the time, I would say? Simply because of this, I think she probably deserves C tier. Like, she's not completely useless, right? It would be weird to say this, but I would say she's around here. I would say Ling is her, but better. Mostima, if IS-4 and Aethionia didn't exist, Mostima would probably be a D tier operator in my opinion, but because Aethionia exists, weirdly enough, I would say she's probably like a middle B tier operator. Mostima completely trivializes Aethionia. You simply have to use her as 3 at the right moment, and Aethionia literally can't walk. She's one of the very few operators that can do that with Holoyak, Canipalet, and Shu. Simply because Shu exists, she might now be at the very low B tier, maybe high C, I'm not sure. Nah, I'm still gonna put her here because you're not gonna get Shu every game, so I'm still gonna put her here. Blaze. So now the issue with Blaze is that obviously there's a lot of competition again in guard vouchers, and there's particularly a direct competition with Gavial Altar. So Blaze against Gavial Altar, I'm sorry, but she has to be like C tier, something like that. The main issue with Blaze is that she has no synergy whatsoever. Like, there's no synergy in relics for Blaze. Gavial Altar has not much synergy either, but Gavial Altar can heal with her as 1, she has horizontal range and pull with her as 2, which gives her survivability. She can be used against bosses with her as 3, so Gavial Altar has a lot for her. Blaze has like cold reduction in Ice 2, for example, which most of the time is not gonna cut it, and that's about it really. So I don't think Blaze deserves more than C tier, unfortunately. Ak is a dude. I'm not sure how Ak would fare. I have no idea. Like, I've literally never seen this guy used in videos in Ice 2, 3 or 4. I can't say. I'm sorry, I just can't say. Nyan. Nyan is, I would say, basically Hoshiguma, but worse. She can reflect more damage with her skill active, but nah, I'm sorry, I don't see why I would pick Nyan. In my opinion, she deserves D tier. She's probably better than Siege, but I don't see a single reason why I would pick Nyan. Kyobei is probably C tier simply because there's a lot of bosses with inflated defense and HP, like Izumik or the 2 guys in Ice 4. So solely for this and her broken ass module, she deserves C tier, S tier in my opinion. Nothing more to say about her. She's absolutely broken with her module. Kyobei is probably gonna be broken for every event in the future, simply because she literally scales with how high enemy defense can be, and that's a scary effect. Bagpipe. Now Bagpipe, weirdly enough, is not that high in IS in my opinion. I mean, sure, you can use the flagpipe strategy like in the rest of Arknights, but I don't think the flagpipe strategy is that powerful in IS. Usually if you have Myrtle alone, then she's gonna be enough. So I don't think Bagpipe deserves to be very high. At the same time, there's not a lot of good vanguards in IS besides Ines and maybe Multis. So I would say she's not useless. She deserves probably like C tier, but in my opinion, that's about it. Let's put her here. I would probably never pick Bagpipe over a lot of things. Phantom is a guy. I heard his new IS specific module in IS5 is very powerful. So I don't know, maybe in IS5 he's very high. In the other IS, well, the issue is he's a fast redeploy operator, so he has competition with Texas Alta and Yato Alta, which is then very hard to justify picking. First W is not that useless. She has some relics that can be useful, but again, she's a sniper. There's a lot of competition in sniper. I would say she's probably C tier. Yeah, I would say around here. I would probably never pick W most of the time. I won't put her in D tier simply because the dodge relics in IS4 are extremely powerful if you can manage to get value out of them, but since the dodge is so unreliable with W, unlike other operators, yeah, I don't think she deserves more than C tier. Weedy is funny because she can literally one-shot Izumic in the right conditions, or she can also one-shot Highmore. I don't think that's noteworthy to justify putting her in high tier. I would say Weedy is probably D tier. She can be a pseudo AoE god, but again, she's a specialist. There's so many competition in specialist. I would say she deserves like probably high D tier. If you want to push her, just pick like, I don't know, Show, for example. Rosa is actually pretty useful because an 8-second bind against, for example, the Last Knight can be very useful. Usually against the Last Knight, what you want to do is alternate between, for example, bind or sleep units or this kind of thing. I would say since she's the most niche of them all, she deserves low B tier, very low B tier, but she's not entirely useless at all. She can be very useful, it's just that, again, she's a sniper, a lot of competitions in snipers. Suzerain, child. If she was not a child, probably S tier. Suzerain is one of the strongest support in the game, so I do believe she deserves S tier for sure. Thorns, man, I think Thorns should probably be S tier in my opinion, simply because the module actually made him very powerful, and his lane holding capabilities for early stages and early floors. He's an extremely powerful lane holder, so I do believe he deserves a lot. Eunectus is very hard to evaluate. Eunectus is one of the strongest and highest defense operator in the game. Weirdly enough, you can use her with like S1 and tank Aethionese attacks. This alone deserves at least C tier, not D tier for sure. Yeah, I would say she's at like around here. She can be used for the Last Knight, she can be used for Aethionia. That's about it. That's unfortunately about it. The high cost, the fact that she can only block one. I don't think she deserves more than that, but she can be used. Surtur is absolutely S tier, there's absolutely not denying this. She's one of the strongest operator to ever be released, and she still is nowadays. You can use her for pretty much anything in IS that isn't flying, and that's about it. Blemishine is a very, very weird operator, because one would say, oh, she can heal and also she can deal damage, so she's pretty much Zarya but better, right? Actually wrong, because the healing can be very unreliable if she doesn't get hit or if she gets one shot. The fact that she can't heal herself with S3 is very detrimental. Still, she has a lot of Relic synergy, like she has Spinach-like synergy with S1, all the offensive and defensive SP regen with S2 and S3. I do believe she deserves probably low A tier or maybe high B tier, simply because I talked a lot about Relic synergy. I think she deserves like very high B tier. I'm not gonna pick her every time, but for sure she can be used. Rosmontis is a child. I'm not sure if she would be D or C tier. Maybe because now Foul Beast is a thing in IS4, she could be C tier, I'm not sure. Otherwise probably D. Mudrock. Now Mudrock is a weird operator because she can be used for low floor things, but in high floors and against bosses, she doesn't do much, weirdly enough. She has a lot of synergies, pretty much the same as Blemishine. So she probably should be right next to her. I'm definitely not gonna pick Mudrock every time, that's for sure. Still, she can be probably useful for a lot of things. Simply because she can't heal, I would say she's pretty low, like here. But yeah, I do believe she deserves B tier. Mountain is a dude. I don't know where I could put him if I was evaluating him. Probably like something around B tier, maybe C tier. I do believe there's better guards. Aceto has a lot of synergy with offensive regeneration. Unfortunately, she's like Exusiai, she's a non-tire sniper, so definitely not something that is very useful. She can stun, unlike Crusalter in Ice 3, so I would put her like right below Exusiai. Maybe, I'm not sure actually. Like, there's not a lot of times where I would pick Archetto. Still, her S2 has a lot of synergy with Spinach. Yeah, I would put her here, but like, there's definitely better for sure. Amiya is, weirdly enough, one of the few A tier 5-star. Simply because Amiya is not particularly strong, but the fact that you can recruit a medic by having a guard voucher or a caster voucher, or recruiting a gun, so that means an operator that can block when you get a medic and you have less than 6 hopes, so you can't pick Calcit, or you get a caster. Alone makes her A tier in my opinion. She's extremely versatile. That alone makes her an A tier in my opinion. I'm not gonna pick her every time, because usually I prefer to pick 6 stars. But still, she's probably one of the strongest 5 stars in IS for sure. We're now entering most 5 stars, so Savage, D tier. I don't really need to explain why. Manticore. Manticore? Where could I put Manticore? Is Manticore completely useless? No. Will I pick Manticore in the run? No. That's the issue. Manticore is not completely useless. Anything that reduces movement speed can be used against Aethionia. Unfortunately, that's not enough. I would say she's at the very top of D tier. I refuse to put her in C tier because she doesn't achieve much. Yeah, that's the main issue. Clifford. Clifford has one specific thing for her, is that for some reason her S2 deals true damage. That means she has synergy with like Civilite Eternia. Still, that's certainly not a reason why you should pick her. I would say she's either top of D tier or low C tier. Yeah, I would say low C tier simply because you can use her, right? Like, pullers usually, I would say, are better than pushers in, for example, IS-4. And the fact that she can stun with her S2 and also attack hovering enemies at least gives her a niche in IS-3, for sure. There's better units that can do that, for example, Crusalter, but still, she can be used, so she doesn't deserve D tier. Feater, well, I mean, if I put Weedy in D tier, there's absolutely no reason why I shouldn't put Feater in D tier either. Again, these are units that can be quote-unquote used, but I mean, there's so much better. Like, for example, in Feater's case, if you want simply like a lane holder that can deal damage to small units, you should definitely pick, for example, Kazmaru. There's no reason to pick Feater. Provence has, I'm sorry, she has so many competition, I have to put her in D tier. Like, this is really no reason to pick her, in my opinion. I've tried her, but like, she's kind of unreliable sometimes, and again, much better 5 stars. Blue Poison, pretty much the same reason as Provence. Crusalter exists, so Blue Poison goes in D. Firewatch. Firewatch is an interesting one, because not being able to be targeted in IS-4, for example, can be very useful. The thing with Firewatch is that a lot of operators can do what she does, but better. Like, AoE damage, if you want AoE damage, do you really want to pick Firewatch? I don't think you do. Yeah, I would say she's probably like high D tier, but nothing too crazy about her. Texas. I'm gonna say something that is really controversial, but I think Texas is overrated. She's really overrated. Like, the odds damage she does are pretty low. The stun can be very useful, and the fact that she hits air is enough to make her at least a consideration in IS-3, that's for sure. But she's not that particularly powerful. I know a lot of people would put her in S or A tier. No, I think she deserves B tier, because she can stun hovering enemies. That's something, for sure. The fact that she can stun Highmore in IS-3 is actually pretty good for a 5-star Vanguard. Still, there's definitely no reason to put her in S or A tier. Zima, D tier. I don't really need to explain why Zima is D tier, same as Savage. Like, these are pretty bad operators in general. Tilopsis, the fact that Tilopsis generates 0.3 more SP for every operator that isn't offensive or defensive is ridiculous in pretty much every scenario. Tilopsis, in my opinion, deserves mid-A tier, probably above Nightingale in my opinion, because it's between very high heal and SP generation and aggro taking and more resistance. I don't think you need more resistance most of the time, but you want SP regeneration most of the time. So I would even put her like here, probably. Silence. The issue with Silence is that you can pick Telopsis for the same cost. So I think she deserves D tier for this. Like, there's no reason to pick Silence in IS in my opinion. Warfarin. Warfarin is very interesting because she also regenerates SP. And she's a buffer. So for this reason, Warfarin definitely deserves S tier, A tier, next to Telopsis in my opinion. She's one of the strongest medic in the game. Skyfire, D tier. Skyfire is, well, an AoE caster, and that's enough to put her in D tier. AoE caster that
aren't Mostima, and even Mostima isn't that high, can't be used in IS, I'm sorry. Red. Red is a very interesting case because there's a lot of competition among specialists. Red is most noteworthy for being one of those units that you can use to stall the Last Knight along with, for example, Kafka or Black Knight. So for this alone, I definitely don't think she's D tier, that's for sure. She would be pretty much very low B tier, probably one of those units you can pick as an E1 if you have nothing better to pick near the end of a run and you know you're gonna fight, like for example the Last Knight. So definitely something to consider for sure. Meteorites. Meteorite is very interesting because she has probably one of the strongest skill in the game if you have Spinach Synergy. The issue is, again, she's a sniper, a lot of competition. For fun and giggles, you can definitely pick Meteorite in my opinion. Not a bad operator at all. I would say she's like mid to low C tier, something like this. Platinum, D tier. There's absolutely no reason to pick Platinum in IS, in my opinion. Promanix. So here's the thing about Promanix. Again, this tier list is for waifus. If Shamare was a waifu and not a child, Promanix would probably be C, maybe even D tier, because Shamare would be pretty much the best debuffer in the entire game. However, Shamare isn't gonna be in this list. I mean, she's gonna be in Children. So Promanix is actually probably a mid to high B tier, simply because she's the best debuffer in IS for waifu enjoyers. There's a lot of operators nowadays that can ignore defense, ignore resistance, so I don't think she's that mandatory anymore. If it was like 1 or 2 years ago, I would have said she was A, maybe S tier. Honestly, for me, again, because otherwise Shamare is her, but better. Still, I do think she deserves a B tier. Estina, there's no reason to pick Estina. Mare. Mare is actually a very, very special case. Mare is the only non-6-star summoner that can hit air with her S2 and actually stun. So she has a niche in IS3, and that's it. That's actually it. That's all she can do. She can stun hovering units in I3, which is actually not that bad, right? If you desperately need someone that can stun, then she can be your woman. So for this, I would put her like in mid, like, yeah, right next to Meteorite tier. Sora. Sora can be used to sleep. The issue with Sora is that her range is very impractical. Still, the sleep alone is enough to put her in C tiers, but if you want a sleeper, you should probably pick Erato, Black Knight, or Kafka instead. Franco. Franco is D tier. The issue with Franco is, while her skill says ignores 100% defense, it doesn't say she deals true damage, which is unfortunate, because otherwise she would have been one of the best unit to use with Civilite Eternian. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't put her above D tier. Regular Spectre. Regular Spectre is probably one of the strongest non-6-star lane holder in the game. Is this good enough to justify a high tier? No. Still, if you really need a strong lane holder at some point, you could probably pick her. I would put her like in low B tier, for example. I don't think you should pick her most of the time. Still, she has her uses. Indra. Indra is weird, again. There's a lot of weird operators in the game because Indra deals odds damage for a very low cost, but you need to wait like 25 seconds for the first use and 50 seconds for the subsequent uses. I feel like if her SP cost wasn't too high, she would probably actually be C or B tier, because she's one of the lowest cost operator that can deal odds damage, which is actually not that bad. But like, she's a god, she doesn't do much beside healing herself. I would say if you desperately need someone that can heal and you don't have much and you feel like you're... that's so much of a stretch, man. I need to put her in D tier, I'm sorry. I want to put her in C, but like, Lapland. Lapland is probably very high B tier, even maybe A tier. I would put her in A tier. Lapland can be very useful in IS2 because there's a lot of exploding spiders and she can silence them all, so that's extremely powerful. She can also hit air units, which can be very useful. Yeah, I do think she deserves A tier. She's a good wolf. Nerl, there's very little reason to pick Nerl. I would put her D tier, simply because if you want someone that can heal, and that's gonna play super, but you should put Gummy, my opinion. She's one less hope, and she's gonna be more useful most of the time. Liscom, I'm gonna say something that is as controversial as the Texas one. I think Liscom is overrated nowadays. She used to be a very good SP battery, that's for sure. But nowadays, I would say she's overrated, man. Like, there's very little reason nowadays to pick Liscom, I would say. I would even say that Underflow, the new 5-star operator, is pretty much better than her in IS, honestly. I don't know, I would put her like very low B tier, maybe high C. I would put her in high C. Like, honestly, there's little reason to pick Liscom nowadays. Okay, let's put her low B, but that's about it. Vulcan, D. I'm sorry, I want to like Vulcan, I really like her kit. She was the first enmity operator, still that's very hard to justify nowadays. Croissant is probably D tier. Like, there's no reason to pick Croissant nowadays, like the push is not noteworthy. At most you're gonna kill like 1 or 2 units that would have died anyway, so no reason to pick her. Granny is also D tier, no reason to pick her whatsoever. If you want to pick a good 5-star charger, you could pick Fengalter. Nightmare is again probably one of the weirdest operators, because if her kit was executed well, Nightmare would have been A tier. She's the only caster that can heal, besides Amia technically. That's something that in IS would have been extremely high tier usually, but since her kit is so bad, like, you need to wait so long in order for a skill to activate, her damage is very low. I'm sorry, but like, if you really need some healing, I guess she can be C tier. That's about it, man. Like, I want to put her higher, but she's really not it. Swire, there's no real reason to pick Swire in my opinion. There's one reason to pick Whislash that I'm gonna explain later, but Swire, not really. I'm sorry, Swire. Sadon, there's no reason to pick Sadon above Pure Stream, who is 1 star lower, so yeah, that's unfortunate. Glaucus is the supporter that deals the most air damage, which is something, I suppose. The S2 can be useful in IS3 to stun hovering enemies. What I said is that she's the definition of tech unit, but she's a very bad tech unit in my opinion. I don't think Glaucus deserves B tier. I think she deserves mid to high C tier maybe. I'm never gonna pick Glaucus, that's for sure. I think she deserves a high C tier. If you really want to put her B, then feel free to do so. Aesthesia. Yeah, I mean, as much as I love Aesthesia, as much as I know, even like lately she's been used in like CCB or something, like in IS, there's no reason to pick Aesthesia, I'm sorry. Like, I think she deserves like pretty much high D tier, but there's no reason to pick her. Like, God has so many good units, why would you pick Aesthesia, honestly? Flamebringer is a man, and even if he wasn't, he would be D tier. Executor is a man, even if he wasn't, he would probably be D tier. Breeze, yeah. There's no reason to pick Breeze. If you want an AoE healer, you can pick Perfumer, and she costs less and heals better. Waifu. The only reason why you would pick Waifu is for the silence, and Lapland does this, but much better. I don't think Waifu is noteworthy. Like, she has a lot of competition with Kafka and Project Red. I think she deserves D tier. Like, there's no reason to pick Waifu over anyone, really. So, Bison is a man, and even if he wasn't, he would be D tier probably. Reed is one of the only Vanguard that can deal arts damage, and that's not enough. I'm sorry, but that's not enough. If you want a Vanguard that can deal arts damage, you probably want to pick Black Knight or Texas. Yeah, no, I can't even justify putting her in C tier. I'd put her like probably above average D tier, but that's about it. Like, probably around here. Broca is a man, and if he wasn't, he would probably not be D tier, simply because he's a lane holder that can deal arts damage, I believe. I'm not too aware of his kit, but yeah. Greythroat, not Crusalter, D tier, just next to Platinum. Snowscent, there's no reason to pick Snowscent. Like, if I justified putting Clifford in C tier, there's no reason to put Snowscent above her, in my opinion. She deserves D tier. Hung, man. and I think that's pretty much null, but even worse, so probably D tier. Lazy. So Lazy is, again, one of those interesting units. Lazy has been noteworthy in Arknights for being a shit operator when she was released, and then actually becoming pretty good when she was buffed. All chaincasters were buffed, and she got her module as well. She's one of the strongest operator in SSS. Let's put it this way, if you have a very high attack speed, because you're running the toy or anything that increases the attack speed, Lazy can be a very good unit, so she's a pretty tech operator at the very low B tier in my opinion. The thing with Lazy is that she's completely useless against bosses. She's only there for ally fights, which is not that good. So I don't know, it's like C or B. I would say B, because if you have a lot of attack speed, sure, you can pick Lazy. Like, there's nothing wrong with her. Let's move on. Also, because chaincasters have that Relic that is extremely strong and made God Singer possible. Bybeak. Bybeak was probably the operator I used the most in Ice 1, and in Ice 2, 3, and 4, she's very hard to justify picking, man. I know she can stun with S2, but so you could theoretically use her to stun hovering enemies in Ice 3. You need to attack in order to charge SP with her, so that puts her in a weird situation where you need to attack, but then you can't attack because they are hovering. She's a very weird. I don't think she's useless, so I would put her in D tier, in C tier, but like, very weird to use. Caesar, man, Shamaray. Again, Shamaray, any other situation, if it wasn't this tier list, would be probably S tier or A tier. A tier or S tier, I'm not sure. Caesar would probably be D tier in my opinion. Sideroka, I mean, if I put Aesthesia in D tier, there's absolutely no reason to put Sideroka above her. So yeah, Sideroka is D tier. Elysium. Elysium is a man, and if he wasn't, he would probably be very high. Like, he's a Vanguard that can generate SP and inflict fragile. So yeah, he would probably be like A tier in my opinion. Asbestos. Okay, so Asbestos has an interesting story. Before Jessica Alter was released, Asbestos was probably the best defender when it came to hitting air units. So for that, she deserved B tier, because she was a very tech unit. You wouldn't pick her always, but I have picked her with some great results. Nowadays, with Jessica Alter, she's probably like C tier. She's not completely useless either, because, well, she's 5-star and Jessica Alter is a 6-star. So yeah, I would put her in B tier, not C tier, not completely useless. And that's weird because she's an arts defender, which is probably one of the weirdest class in the entire game. Tsukinagi. Tsukinagi. I mean, I can't justify putting her in C tier. I love Tsukinagi so much, but she deserves D tier, unfortunately. Like, the invisible reveal has some uses, but for most players you should pick Silver Ash, and Ines basically renders her useless. So yeah, I'm sorry. Absinthe. Absinthe is probably D tier. For a lot of operators like this, if you get her offered for free, she's gonna be very useful. Absinthe is actually pretty powerful, but are you gonna pick, for example, Absinthe over Amiya? No. Over Lazy? No. Over a 6-star caster? Hell no. So no, I do think she deserves like D tier, not the very low D tier, but like you won't pick her for anything, unfortunately. Leonhardt is a guy. I don't know what this guy is worth. I would probably put him D or C tier, simply because he benefits a lot from spinach with his too, but that's about it. Ire Scrape. I'm not sure where I should put Ire Scrape. I mean, obviously he's a man, so he's going there, but if he wasn't, like, his S1 is actually pretty good with spinach-like items, but his S2 takes so long to charge, that's actually unbelievable. He's definitely not on Lapland's level. I would say he's probably like CT or something like that. Folinic. So again, Folinic, pretty much like Asbestos, has a very interesting story, because before Calcit and Reed Alter and Hibiscus Alter were a thing, Folinic was the only medic that was able to deal damage, meaning in IS-1 she used to be actually pretty strong, because if you had a lot of medics already, then you would probably pick Folinic at some point, because you wouldn't need more healing and you would need more damage. So Folinic, if it was in IS-1, would probably be B tier. Nowadays, she's probably D tier, like there's no reason to pick her over Amiya Medic or Hibiscus Alter. She's pretty much like high D tier, I would say, but still no reason to pick her whatsoever. Beeswax, once again, a very interesting unit, because Beeswax is the only caster that can block, and she can block with a summon, which means she works with foul B. She's a very, very, very tech unit. I would put her in low B tier. The fact that her skill recharges so fast, that she has synergy with foul beast, which is one of the strongest relic in the game, the fact that she can block even though she's a caster, I think she deserves B tier, honestly. Chiavei, a guy, don't care. Scene. So back in IS-1, Scene would have probably been S tier. Like, she was one of the strongest operator you could pick, simply because we hadn't figured out the meta yet. Nowadays, I'm not sure I would even pick her. Mayor, again, has that niche where she can hit aerial units. I would definitely pick Deep Color most of the time instead of Scene. Absolutely no reason to pick Scene nowadays. I should probably put her in D tier. I don't think I want to pick Scene anytime. Like, I'm sorry, like, I would put her in low C tier, but honestly, if you want to raise a summoner so bad, raise Deep Color. Honestly. Andriana. Andriana is probably D tier, even if you have like the Abyssal Hunter squad, which you shouldn't pick anyway. Andriana would probably not be picked that much. I would say she deserves D tier because, again, so many good snipers in the game. Tomimi, D tier. I don't need to explain why. Tomimi is one of the worst casters in the game, unfortunately, even with her module. Flint. I don't see a reason why I would pick Flint. Yeah, I do think she deserves D tier. Yeah, I just don't see a reason why I would pick her. Pith. The thing with Pith is, well, the Pith, Sharp, Touch, and Stormeye, I can't really, like, put them there because, well, they are not really operators you will raise anyway. So, you know what? I'm gonna put them there because, well, I'm talking, this is a tier list catered toward people who wonder what operators they should raise. You can't raise Pith, Sharp, Touch, or Stormeye. If I had to put them in a tier, Pith is probably the weakest one. Like, she buffs casters, that's pretty decent, but that's about it. So she's B tier because she buffs casters. Sharp is actually pretty strong, like, he's pretty much Franka, but infinitely better. So he's, I would say he's C tier, something like that. Touch is actually A tier, because the SP regen is actually pretty strong. Stormeye is probably D or C tier. So yeah, Pith is actually not the weakest one. Yeah, that's it. Mint. Mint is probably D tier. Unlike Beastwax, there's no real reason to pick Mint. Yeah, that's about it. April. April is interesting. She's always been an interesting unit. She definitely has more use than Platinum, for example, so I don't think she deserves D tier. She can be used most notably in IS-2 for those stages where you want to kill units that spawn in very far away lanes. So I do think because of this, she's probably like low B, high C tier. I would put her in, yeah, in the high C tier, like right beside Glaucus. Aosta, man, and he would probably be D tier. Whislash. Whislash, I know most of you wait me to put her in D tier, and I'm actually not gonna put her in D tier. Whislash has one very interesting niche. She is one of the tankiest guards in the entire game without using a skill. So is that good? Not really. Is that usable? Yes, that's actually usable. You can use her to, for example, tank Eikthyamnir in IS-4 if you somehow didn't get a defender. And that happened to me at least once. So she's gonna be useful in one run out of 100, for sure. But she can be used, that's for sure. So I'm putting her in low D. Yeah, that's about it. Whisperrain. Again, issue with Whisperrain is why would you pick Whisperrain instead of Pure Stream? That's the main issue with her. Yeah, even if you get like the hand, you should probably just pick Pure Stream in my opinion. So I do think she deserves D tier, and that's unfortunate. Kafka. Kafka is the definition of tech unit, once again. So she deserves B tier, that's for sure. You're not gonna use Kafka everywhere, but Kafka is, well, I think pretty much everybody who has played Arknights know how strong an Elite 1 or Elite 0 even Kafka can be with a sleep. So she can be used to make the last night a sleep. She can be used to tank a lot of very powerful units, so she definitely deserves B tier. Robin. Robin is... she used to be the only trap master, and for that alone she was probably like B tier, because, well, she used to be one of the only specialists that can deal could deal damage against aerial units. So she probably deserved B tier. Nowadays we have Dorothy, we have Gladia, we have a lot of units that can do pretty much what she does but better. So she probably deserves low C tier in my opinion. Still usable, but definitely not something you should pick most of the time. Iris, D tier. She can inflict sleep, but she's one of the worst sleep inflictor in the game, unfortunately. If you want to inflict sleep, again, Erato, Black Knight, Kafka, you only need those 3 in my opinion. So probably high D tier, but that's about it. Tuye, D tier. I don't see a single reason why you would pick Tuye. Like, she's not a bad healer, but there's a lot of good healers, so that's it. So now we're entering 4-star territory. Courier. Courier is definitely a D tier in my opinion. If you want to pick a tanky Vanguard, just pick Feng. And if you want a DP generator, just pick Myrtle. So yeah, Courier probably deserves D tier. Scavenger, same reason as Courier. She can deal more damage, but she's less tanky, so yeah, no real reason. Vigna. Vigna, again, no real reason to pick Vigna. I would pick Vigna if she was offered for free, for sure. Again, a lot of operators, even that I put in D tier, I would pick them if they were offered for free. But would I pick Vigna and spend hope on her? Definitely not. Myrrh, pretty much the same reason, but no. Gavial, same. Perfumer is actually an exception. Perfumer is probably, in my opinion, a B tier. I would pick Perfumer. I would pick Perfumer for sure if I really needed a lot of healing, and Hibiscus wouldn't be enough. So I'd put her probably in the high C or low B. Yeah, let's put her in the high C. Haze, even with her module, I'm sorry, but I can't justify it. Like, I think Indigo and Click are both better, so she probably deserves like high C tier, high D tier, sorry. Rope. I used to pick a lot of Rope when I was playing IS2 because she can hit air, she has dodge, so she's actually pretty tanky. She can be deployed on both melee and ranged. She can one-shot some operators. So I do think for the hope cost, she's pretty much Clifford, but less good. I would say spending 1 more hope on something like a Rope is very bad. That's why I'm putting Snowscent in D. But Rope, I do think deserves C tier in my opinion. Like right beside Clifford. Shaw, pretty much the same reason as Rope, I think. Wait, that's a child. Shaw is a child. Same reason as Rope, I would put her right beside her. Shiroyuki. Shiroyuki is, again, one of those interesting units, one of the only snipers able to deal arts damage. This used to be a very nice niche. Nowadays, why would you simply not pick something that can ignore defense or that has a very high attack? I don't think Shiroyuki deserves better than DT, unfortunately. Meteor. Meteor can reduce defense, and that's her sole niche. That's not something I should pick, for sure. So yeah, I'm sorry. Jessica. Jessica's only niche in IS is if you get a lot of dodge relics, I suppose she can deal a lot of damage. Still, that's very unreliable, so yeah. Deep Color. Deep Color is, in my opinion, B tier. Deep Color, since her module is actually pretty viable, she fares quite well in low Braving Nature or low Surgic Waves. The issue is whenever you start going higher, she's gonna struggle a lot with a lot of enemies, particularly when she's not E2 yet. If you are going for the Supporter plus Defender squad, you can absolutely pick Deep Color at E2 already, and she's gonna do wonders. So just for this, I think she deserves B tier. Yeah, around here. Mid B tier. Spirit, D tier. Gitano, D tier. Gravel. So I had some comments on my video saying, yeah, Gravel is actually one of the best specialists to pick in IS4 to, for example, tank some bosses. Again, this video is catered towards clearing IS4 in Braving Nature 15 only once, and otherwise clearing it in Braving Nature 12. I don't think Gravel is that good in Braving Nature 12, I'm sorry. Like, I have never felt I should pick Gravel. There's so many relics that increase your operator's defense or give them laser shield and so on. So I think Gravel deserves like probably low C tier, and that's about it. Doberman, D tier. Even if she buffs 3 stars and you're gonna recruit a lot of 3 stars, I don't think you should pick Doberman. Estelle. Estelle is the lowest cost operator that isn't a defender that can have 3 block. So that's something. Unfortunately, that's not something that is good enough. I have tried Estelle, most notably in the early game where she should shine because, well, she's a lane holder and you need lane holders most particularly in the early game. But unfortunately, Koto was just better. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna put her like in high D tier probably, but yeah. Moose. Moose has always had a niche because she's one of the only operator that can inflict minus attack. So that's one of those operators you can pick at the very last operator and can do her job fine. Only because of this, I don't think she deserves D tier. I'm gonna put her in C. Frostleaf. I don't think anybody is gonna be shocked when I put Frostleaf in D tier. Matoimaru, probably D tier as well. She can tank some attacks, but enemies in IS has so much inflated attack that it's gonna be difficult for her to resist. So yeah, let's put her like D tier. Quora. Quora can absolutely be used for 8th tier DR, for example, simply because her defense is so high. She's probably a B tier operator. You can definitely pick Quora in IS against 8th tier DR or the last night. So yeah, very good to tell. Gummy. Gummy is also B tier in my opinion. She's the strongest non-medic healer that is a 4-star. So you should definitely consider picking Gummy sometimes. If you need healing and you get offered a defender voucher and you feel like your spot isn't gonna be enough and you need consistent healing, not just a one burst healing. Matterhorn. Matterhorn is probably Quora but worse. So yeah. Bee Hunter. D tier. No reason to pick Bee Hunter whatsoever. Gray, D tier, and is a guy, so I don't care. Susuro. Susuro is one of the strongest healer in the game, and even like this, I don't think you should pick Susuro most of the time. I would pick Pure Stream because the AoE heal is better, and also because she has a relic for her. I don't think Susuro deserves better than D tier, unfortunately. Low C or high D, I'm not sure. Like, let's put her in high D. I really don't know. Myrtle, I mean, it comes with no surprise that Myrtle is absolutely S tier. Like this, Myrtle is just like Myrtle. For anybody who has played Arknights, you know how strong this dwarf is. Never underestimate the dwarf. Absolutely pick your Myrtle whenever you can. Durna. Durna used to be a very good unit because she used to be the only defender that was able to hit multiple enemies at 4-star. Is that good nowadays? Not really. If you're starting a run and you pick a 4-star defender, that's on you, I would say. She's probably the very high D tier, but that's about it. Vermeil, absolutely no reason to pick her. Ethan. So Ethan is one of those interesting units, once again. You probably don't want to pick Ethan in the early game because you're gonna have no block, and Ethan with no mastery is actually pretty bad. But if you pick an Ethan in the very late stage of the run, he's actually gonna perform well because the bind has like an 80% chance of succeeding, so that's actually very good for stalling. Still, he's a guy, so he goes there, but otherwise he would probably like be B tier in my opinion. Mei, strongest 4-star entire sniper, definitely not D tier. I have used Mei with a lot of success. She can be used with S2 if you have like the relics that deal damage over time. She has a lot of synergy with attack speed. She has a lot of synergy with offensive regeneration, so she, in my opinion, deserves probably the tippity top of C tier, just right next to all the entire snipers, maybe even B tier, since she costs less. You know what, I actually can put her B tier. No, I'm actually gonna put her C tier, but simply because there are much better 4-star sniper than her, but still, she can be considered. Embriel, in my opinion, is B tier. She's absolutely B tier for a simple reason. Ice 3. She can stun in global range. That alone is enough to put her in B tier because she can be the ultimate anti-hovering unit if you want to. Pure Stream is one of the strongest 4-star healer in the game. This alone, in my opinion, is enough to put her at B tier. Also because she has an interesting relic made for her and bards and phalanx casters. So yeah, definitely low B tier in my opinion. Alright, Utage, I think I used to pick her a lot in Ice 1. In Ice 2, 3, and 4, I don't think there's a lot of reasons to pick Utage. Like, she can be used to, for example, kill a boss on floor 3, but like, there's so many operators that can do what she does but better and also be useful on other stages. I think she deserves like probably high D tier, but that's about it. Conviction. It's like Utage, but they self-stun themselves when being deployed. There's funny things about Conviction if you can manage to have both their S1 dealing increased damage and a spinach-like item. You will see an extremely high red number, but that's only for shit and giggles. Weirdly enough, not the lowest part of D tier, pretty much like Utage in my opinion. Cutter. Cutter is probably A tier. In my opinion, Cutter is one of the strongest operator you can start with. Cutter is gonna carry you through your run, and that's all you need to have her for. She has extremely high synergies with a lot of relics, SP regeneration, spinach-like, she can hit aerial units, she can gain more SP with her attacks. She's extremely strong, particularly in IS-4. I do think she's one of the strongest operators you can start with that is not a 6-star. So yeah, definitely A tier. Podenko, child. Okay, if I want to put her somewhere, Podenko probably deserves A tier, simply because she's a supporter that can both deal damage and heal. That's extremely strong in IS. There's a lot of cases where you'll want a healer and, well, you don't get one, so you're gonna cry because you see supporter and then you remember, oh, but I have Podenko. And yeah, that's pretty much how you should think about her. I think she deserves low A or high B tier, so she's a child, I'm gonna put her here. Click is, again, definitely A tier. Right next to Cutter in my opinion. In my opinion, the strongest caster you can pick in IS. She's a child, so here. Jay, he's a man, so here. Jay is probably A tier as well. All of these three are A or B tier. Jay is both a damage dealer, a silencer, a healer, extremely strong operator. In IS-3, there's a lot of cases where you encounter Pompeii. He can deal increased damage to Pompeii and heal more, extremely strong. Acid Drop, very weird operator, very hard to evaluate. My opinion, since there's so much better snipers, I would put Acid Drop high D tier. Arene, guy. If it wasn't a guy, I would probably put Arene in C or B tier. He can deal increased damage to aerial unit, that's interesting. Alright, next we have Bubble. So Bubble is pretty much like Kurora, so she's gonna end up right next to Kurora. I mean, she's a child, so probably not. But she would end up right next to Kurora because she has pretty much the same defense. She has some damage reflection, which is actually a bit worse against Aethania. Generally speaking, they are pretty much replaceable. Next we have Jackie, who is a very special operator because she's one of the only operator that works with dodge, which means that she's one of the only operator that benefits from all the dodge relics in IS-4. Is that good enough to make her broken tier? Absolutely not. I just think that she doesn't deserve D tier just for this. I have taken her in early stages where I started with said relic, and she actually performed pretty decently, so I'm gonna put her like at the end of C tier. Definitely not something you want to pick every time. There are much better dodge operators, most notably Flametail, I would say, but still it's pretty interesting to think that way. Pinecone. Pinecone is definitely A tier next to Cutter. These are pretty much the two operators I like to start with when I need 7 hope in order to recruit a 6-star, and I don't have 7 hope. It's either Pinecone or Cutter. I would say these are the best 2 starters in IS, whether it's 3 or 4. Yeah, she definitely deserves that place in my opinion. She has a lot of synergy with spinach-like relics. There's a lot of good sniper relics in IS-3 and IS-4, most notably in IS-4. So yeah, definitely a very good operator. Beanstalk. Beanstalk, I'm kinda torn on Beanstalk. I used to like her a lot in IS-3 before they released new stages with hovering enemies. In IS-4 I tried to make her work in the early game, but she's just not that good, to be fair. She's not entirely useless, I guess. Being able to deal damage to aerial units when you're Vanguard is not that bad, but I mean, the second we get a 4-star agent, in my opinion, she's gonna be useless. I'm not gonna put her in D tier. She is going to the low ranks of C tier in my opinion, but yeah, not something you should really be worried about. Feng. Feng is A tier in my opinion. She's the best free Vanguard you can recruit in IS. The difference with Vanilla is that Feng's skill is automatic, while Vanilla's skill lasts for a while, meaning you can activate Feng more time than Vanilla. Vanilla has more attack, Feng has more defense. Usually they are both replaceable more or less. Sometimes I pick vanilla for guilds. So yeah, definitely a very good operator that you're gonna have pretty much in every run. So definitely something you should be picking most of the time. Vanilla, well, I don't think she is like Feng. I would say she's probably like B tier, yeah, around here. I usually pick Feng and not Vanilla, but she's not bad either. She has, again, less defense and more attack, meaning she can kill small enemies faster, but it's a bit more dangerous to use her, so I would say Feng is a bit higher. But she's still decent. Plume. Plume. The simple fact that she's free means she can be D tier. She's free, can give you some DP. She can be D tier, but she's not on Feng or Vanilla's level, I would say. Probably a C tier operator, like mid C tier operator. Something you can try to pick sometimes, but if you wanna go for a 3-star Vanguard, definitely pick Feng or Vanilla. Hibiscus is... I'm not sure if she's S tier. I mean, again, I'm not playing Ensol, so Ensol is probably A tier and Hibiscus B or C. When you're not playing Ensol, Hibiscus is definitely A tier, because, well, she's the only free medic you can get. Ensol is a guy, otherwise he's A tier in my opinion. Lava, even when she's free, isn't that good. Like, there's a lot of times where I think to myself, I actually prefer having single target damage, so I often pick Durin over Lava, and I'm not kidding. Still, well, she's free, so she's going C tier. Orchid is basically the best supporter you can get. Even so, she's still not that good. She's probably like B tier. Yeah, like probably around... like, yeah, near Vanilla. Melantha, well, when you're not playing Midnight, the best guard you can get, definitely going around here. If Midnight was there, Melantha would probably be B tier, but some people actually prefer using Melantha over Midnight simply because she has way more stats and doesn't care much about enemy defense compared to Midnight. Beagle is either B or A tier, I'm not sure. She's probably like, I would say the top of B tier. Not as useful as Feng, Melantha or Hibiscus. Still, she's the best 3-star defender in the game, besides Spot, which I'm not using. Spot is definitely A tier in my opinion. Still, Beagle is pretty good. She can hold herself well and can tank a lot even if you don't have any medics, so definitely a pretty good operator that is free. Cardigan is basically Beagle but less good. Can still be useful, so I'm gonna put her, yeah, next to Plume, I would say. I don't recruit her a lot. Sometimes when there are only enemies that have low attack and sometimes I only need one specific healing. Doesn't happen often, but yeah. Catapult. I'm not sure about Catapult. Again, I'm not using Anakiel. If you're using Anakiel, Catapult is probably D tier because you're gonna recruit Cruz and Anakiel first. In my case, I don't use Anakiel, so she's going near Lava. Not very useful. I sometimes recruit her when I don't have much hope. So yeah, I mean, I still use her. Midnight is a guy, he would probably go A tier if I was using him. Steward, same thing, probably A tier. Cruz, I mean, if you've seen how much units are used, it should come as no surprise that Cruz is actually S tier. And I'm not even kidding. Cruz is actually S tier. She's by far the best 3-star character you can recruit in IS. An absolute monster that can decimate all early stages pretty much by herself, and she costs 0 hope. She's just that good. So yeah, definitely going S tier, even though she's a 3-star. Anakiel would probably go like B tier, I would say. In my case, I'm not using him. Spot not using him, he would probably go A, maybe S tier, I'm not sure. Because, well, he's the only non-medic 3-star that can heal beside you official. And I'm not really counting you official. Popcar is a child, and she would probably go... I mean, Melantha and Midnight are both better, so she would probably go C, maybe even D tier, I'm not sure. All the reserve operator, I'm not counting them, because, well, you're not gonna build them anyway. The Vanguard is probably like C tier, because at least he has to block. The Sniper is definitely D tier, because all the other snipers are better. The Healer is probably D tier again, because the other 2 medics are better. The Caster is probably C or D tier because the better caster is Steward. And the Defender is probably D tier. Yato is a very interesting unit because she's basically a fast redeploy operator that is actually a Vanguard. So that's a very specific niche. I think she's going like, I would say very, very low C tier. There are some relics that actually make her interesting, but that's about it. Durin. Basically Steward, but infinitely worse. So probably going near lava, just above lava. I usually pick Durin over lava, but sometimes I pick lava over Durin. Happens. 12F is a guy, I don't care, would probably be D tier. Ranger is a guy, I don't care, probably D tier. Noacorn is a guy, I don't care, probably D tier. Don't care about the robots. I would say Thermal EX is probably the only one that is noteworthy, because he's the only operator that can be recruited for free as a specialist operator, so that's something that can be considered. Dusk in my opinion is D tier, I'm sorry. I don't see a single use for this girl, like, I have tried. I was thinking, oh yeah, she's a caster that can technically block, more or less, but yeah, the block is very unreliable, the skills are not good. Usually you pick Mostima, you're better off. I mean, there's no reason to pick Dusk in my opinion. Saga is interesting because she's probably one of the strongest lane holder Vanguard, if not the strongest. It's basically Siege but better. Is this something you want to pick every time? No, but definitely something you can pick. And for this, because that's a very tech unit, I think I'm going to put her in like mid B tier. I sometimes start with Saga, and I usually don't regret it, because she's a pretty good operator for the early game. She's gonna generate DP over the early game, and sometimes you don't wanna spend more hope into getting Myrtle, so you can just E2 the Saga, and you're pretty happy with this. So yeah, definitely a decent operator. Lava Altar. As much as I love her and I have tried to make her work, she's not that good. Like, she has a lot of AoE, which is actually pretty good. No, most notably for Ice 4, which is why I'm pretty sure she's going high D tier. But that's about it, like, really. Mr. Nothing is a guy, I actually don't know if this guy is good or not. I can't tell you at all. Like, maybe he's S tier, maybe he's D tier, I have no idea. Like, he's probably like C or D or something like that. Ashe is probably going with the others. She has less synergy with debuffs, but she has a stun with S2, which makes her actually better in IS3. But at the same time, if you only want to stun for IS3, there are operators that cost less hope, like Cruise Altar, so why would you pick Ashe? It's a pretty weird situation, but most of the time I wouldn't pick Ashe. Frost, pretty much like Robin, I don't see a reason why I would pick Frost over Robin or Robin over Frost, yeah. She's going next to Robin, not pretty much replaceable. Blitz is a guy I don't care, Tachenka is a guy I don't care, Godsenger is a guy I don't care. Godsenger is probably a B tier unit, in my opinion. He's D tier when you don't have the right relics. He is absolutely S tier when you have the right relics. There's like a video where Godsenger solos Izumic in Surging Waves 15. Toddyfons, as much as I like her, she's probably a D tier unit. Like, her only perk is that she deals more damage to Sokka's enemies. Maybe in IS5 that's relevant, I'm not sure. But in IS2 that's semi-relevant, I would say. In IS3 and 4 it's absolutely useless. There's absolutely no reason to pick Toddyfons over all the other snipers, I would say, so yeah, not something very interesting. Heavy Rain. I actually haven't tested her much. I would say the camouflage can be sometimes useful. The healing is pretty low, so you definitely don't want to recruit her for the healing, most notably because there are other 5-star defender that can heal, or even 4-star. I'm honestly not sure about her. I'm gonna take a guess this time, because I honestly haven't tried her a lot. I'm sorry. The simple fact that she can render some units camouflage means she has at least a niche, so I'm not sure actually. I'm probably going for like C tier, but I can't tell you, honestly. Skadi Altar used to be the best Golden Glow buffer in the game, and now this is Heidi's job. So she's still decent. The main issue is that usually when you get a supporter voucher, you either want control or you want some damage like Virtuosa. So the issue with Skadi is that there's little room for her, I would say. I'm not sure what to put her. I would say she's probably B tier because she's pretty much much a tech unit, right? Like she's a unit you recruit near the end of a run because you feel like you need some buffs or you need some passive healing somehow. Also, she has some synergies with Civilized Eternia, so there's also that. There's also synergy with the Bard Relic. She can come in handy, but she's definitely like a very tech unit, so, and for this, she's going B tier. Like around here. Gladia is my favorite operator by far. And I'm sorry, but I can't put her very high in this list. Like, I have tried Gladia many times. Since the new stages in IS-4, I think she's better because Gladia actually shines a lot in the early game because there's a lot of stages where there are holes in IS-4 in the early game. And that actually makes her quite potent. In IS-3 she also has a buff when she doesn't have a module activated yet, so when she's E1. So there's a lot of cases where Gladia is actually a pretty tech unit, so for this I'm thinking of putting her in B tier. The main issue with Gladia is if there wasn't so much competition among all specialists in IS, I would probably put her in A, maybe even in S tier. But the thing is, there's Texas Alter, Yato Alter, Ella, Spectre Alter. It's so difficult to justify putting Gladia high. So for this, I think she's going B tier. I don't think she deserves to be lower than that. Calcit. Calcit is an extremely interesting unit because she is the only medic that is able to block. For this alone, in my opinion, she's going S tier. Because being able to block when you have an average start or a bad start, and you keep on getting like supporter vouchers, caster vouchers, and so on, and you can't get a single block, is actually very important. So she's definitely S tier in my opinion, one of the two medics in S tier. And yeah. That's pretty much it. Monster is very useful. There's also a lot of synergy with like Civilized Eternia. Akafuyu. I don't see a single reason why Akafuyu wouldn't be D tier. Yeah. Carnelian. Issue with Carnelian is that in IS-3, enemies have a lot of resistance, so you mostly don't want any casters unless they have resistance penetration. And in IS-4, on the contrary, casters are actually pretty good. And that means she has a lot of competition with Eyjafjalla, Golden Glow, and so on. So for this, I don't think I've ever picked her. I have tried to make her work, but she's actually very hard to make her work. I would say, I'm sorry, I'm gonna put her in D tier. Hate me if you want to. Maybe she deserves to be C tier, maybe even B tier, but there's very little synergies with her. There's only like the Phalanx / Bard Relic, but I think there are better operators you can pick with this. Like for example, I think her sister is legitimately better because of the Foul Beast alone. So yeah, Kirara. Yeah. I mean, I don't need to say anything. Kirara is one of the worst operators in the game. Benna, the issue I have with Benna is that Kazemaru is pretty much better than her in every way possible. There's no reason to pick her over Kazemaru. Indigo is actually one of my favorite operators in IS. And that's for one specific reason, is that she absolutely destroys special enemies. The duck, the bear, and the dog. So for this alone, I would put her actually in B tier, in low B tier. I often recruit her, and she has actually held herself pretty well. I do think she's one of the strongest casters you can pick in IS, simply because she can guarantee giving you relics whenever you find some special enemies. So that's something in my opinion. Palace is not that useless, I suppose. Her stun can come in handy, her buff can come in handy. As a last operator, you can pick her to buff some operators. So for this, I would probably put her in C tier. Not very high C tier though, but yeah, that's pretty much the only thing she can do, like picked as a last operator in the run. Chen Alter is S tier? Like, I mean, it's pretty much obvious that Chen Alter is S tier. The defense ignore is extremely high. The movement speed reduction can be used to slow Aethania a bit, because Aethania is not immune to movement speed reduction, he's only immune to slow. She destroys enemies even with high defense because she can def ignore. Like, there's so many things she can do. The only issue is that she costs a lot of DP, so be sure you have your mortal ready. So yeah, I'll probably put her here for now. Mizuki is a guy, don't care. He's probably, I don't know, like C or D tier probably. La Pluma. I used to pick her a lot, and then I realized picking a 5-star operator at the start of a run is actually detrimental, because if you don't have any hope increase, then that means picking a 5-star costs 4 hope, so you have only 2 hope left, and if you level up, then you only have 6 hope and you can't recruit a 6-star. And at the same time, you might argue, yeah, but what if I start with hope increase? Then why don't you simply pick a 6-star? Why would you pick La Pluma? To save hope? That sounds a bit weird. So that's why I used to pick La Pluma a bit. I still think she can like be useful. Let's imagine you start with a random voucher and you decide to pick La Pluma to save some hope, to pick a 6-star later on. I mean, she can still be useful, but most of the time I would pick Color over her, simply to save some hope. So I would say she goes probably C tier, yeah, around there. Tequila, guy, I don't care. Tequila is probably something like B or C tier, I'm not sure. Psylocke is pretty much Myrtle, but that costs 4 more hope, and that's actually a big deal. I usually don't recruit Psylocke. I used to recruit her a lot, and now I don't recruit her a lot. The issue is she has to compete with Ines, which is extremely bad, and also compete with Molzeyes and other units. Her skills don't do much, like she can heal, but so can Myrtle, she can stun, but might as well pick Ines, who can bind. Yeah, she's probably going like C tier or something. She's not bad, but like there's so much thing you can do with that much amount of hope. Yeah, probably going like very low C tier in my opinion. Mulberry is extremely powerful. She used to be one of the best healers in the game before Eyjafjallajökull altar. Now she's probably like A or B tier. I would say she's A tier when you need nervous impairments heal or corrosion heal, otherwise she's probably B tier. So I'm going to put her in like high B tier. Not an operator you want every time, but if you don't have a Eyjafjallajökull altar, then sure, you can pick Mulberry. Roberta is notorious for being a supporter that can block and only costs 3 hope to recruit. This, and she also has some shields which can literally negate some damage. For this alone, in my opinion, she's low B tier actually, because that's an operator you can recruit at the end of a run and still use her shields to great effects, which can be very useful in a lot of cases actually. Sometimes you just want to like tank 1 or 2 attacks and that's more than enough. So yeah, low B tier probably. Fartooth, again, 6-star sniper, a lot of competition. Fartooth is probably, I would say she's B tier simply because she's a very tech unit because of the scout scope or whatever the name of this item. If you don't have the scope, then she's probably C, even D tier, but because this item exists, I would say she's like B tier something. I've had some successful runs against Izumic where she could almost one-shot a little jellyfish even without having them to change into another enemy. So yeah, definitely a good unit under the right conditions. Ashlock, I'm sorry, I don't see a single reason why I would pick Ashlock over, for example, Fire Whistle. So for this reason alone, I'm sorry, I have to pick her, I have to put her D tier probably. Even among 5 stars, if I had to pick a 5-star, I would say she's probably high D tier, but definitely not something you see and you think to yourself, oh yeah, cool, I can pick Ashlock. Non-alter will always be at least B for a simple reason. You can recruit her at E1 and she's gonna perform very well because she won't be taking any deployment slot. That alone is enough to make her B tier. Now the question is more about, is she B or is she A? She has a lot of synergy with like Civilized Eternia, where if you can manage to block an enemy with her or her son, she's gonna deal a fuck ton of damage. The issue with this is she's probably gonna get replaced in this role by Siege Alter in the future. I would say she's still probably B, but very high B tier in my opinion. Probably above her sister. Flametail, now that's a very interesting unit, because Flametail is by far the operator that benefits the most from dodge relics. So dodge relics are probably the worst relics you can get in IS-4 because they are extremely specific, and they are specific to Flametail particularly. So she's a very, very niche operator, very niche. So for this, she's definitely going to B tier, but very low B tier. that's an operator you probably can recruit very early on, and if you have this specific relic early on, for example, if you started with one less hope and you got a random collectible and you got a dodge relic, you can definitely go for a run with Flametail. She can also hit air with her S2, she benefits from spinach with her S2. Definitely not a bad unit, but a very niche one. Coroserum, who the cares? Wild Main, I don't see a single reason why Wild Main should be above D tier. I'm putting her next to Granny because they are both chargers, both 5-star chargers, and Fang is pretty much the best 5-star charger in the game, so why would you want either of them? Honeyberry is probably going next to Mulberry, I would say. They do pretty much the same job. Honeyberry, I believe, heals less, but heals more elemental damage. It depends. Pudding, I used to recruit her a lot in IS2, and now I don't recruit her that much because I think, in my opinion, if you want a 4-star caster, there's better, like most notably Indigo or those who play her Click, obviously. Pudding, I would probably never pick her again. She's probably, in my opinion, very high D tier. She can have still some synergy with the one I mentioned with Lazy, but in my opinion, she's pretty much Lazy, but worse because she doesn't have the SP region that Lazy has. She's probably like high D tier, I would say, because she at least can do something, but not something very important. Justice Knight is a robot. He's probably D tier, I would say. Gnosis is a guy. He's probably A or even S tier, simply because he's one of the most damaging supporter in the game. So he's pretty much a caster, but that has a support attack. Aurora, I have no idea what to put Aurora. In my opinion, she deserves D tier. I love her a lot, but there's no reason to put her anywhere else than D, in my opinion. She's not that bad, but so many operators can do what she does, but like better. The freeze can be somewhat relevant against some enemies, but the fact that she works with ammunitions is so weird. Like, if only her skill lasted longer and it didn't take her to both block an enemy and survive. Yeah, it's so weird to use. Like Kira is basically Indigo that costs 1 more. She's not a bad unit. She's actually not a bad unit, but again, it's a 5-star. In order to recruit a 5-star, you have to justify the cost. It's very high to justify getting Kira over Indigo. It's very hard. So I would say she's probably like around C tier, somewhere like this, but definitely, I've used her a lot initially, most notably in IS3, but nowadays there's just no reason. Shalem. Well, Shalem is an operator you should probably only use for IS2, I assume. I have never used him, I can tell. Let's move on. NCD is definitely D tier. Let's not talk too much about this. Ling. I have no idea where to put Ling. Ling is either S tier or A tier. The thing with Ling is it's hard to win with Ling alone. In very low Surging Waves or Braving Nature, sure, you can easily win with Ling alone, but in high Braving Nature or Surging Waves, Ling is actually not that good. The enemy inflation is actually very difficult to cope, so I would say she's probably like very high A tier, but I wouldn't even put her in S tier, to be fair. I would say she might be S tier if you get the summons no longer cost deployment slot. Yeah, let's put her in very low S tier, but I wouldn't put her above anything else, to be fair. Don't care about Lee. I don't even know where I can put him, like probably B tier or something. Black Knight, now that's another very interesting unit. Black Knight is one of the best sleep operator in the game, and that alone is enough to make her B tier, that's for sure. One of the best operator you can recruit to stall, most notably the Black Knight. So yeah, I would say she's probably B tier, like mid B tier or something, around there. She's a good operator in general. She can deal arts damage, she can attack aerial units, so definitely a pretty decent operator. Crusalter is basically what new players are always told to get, because she's extremely good, most notably for IS3, where a lot of enemies are hovering and are weak against stun. So for this alone, she's at least B tier. I would say she's probably low A tier. Yeah, I would put her here. If you want to recruit an entire sniper, she's definitely the entire sniper you want to recruit. In my opinion, she's much better than Exusa or Archedo or Ash, simply because she costs less. I would say she could maybe be B tier nowadays, because we now have Whistle and Typhon that also stun. Yeah, I can put her at a very low A tier. Still think she's A tier though. Golden Glow. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I need to argue. Like, Golden Glow is, in my opinion, the strongest caster in IS. If you get even just a bit of attack speed with Golden Glow, she can basically solo half of the maps by herself. You get Golden Glow, you, for example, buffer with Heidi, and she can absolutely demolish everything. In IS 3, it's a bit harder because of the resistance, but even with this, Golden Glow has resistance ignore, so even in IS 3, she's actually more than decent, and in IS 4, she's an absolute monster, in IS 2 as well. So yeah, Golden Glow definitely S tier. I don't think there's a lot to say about her. In my opinion, even better than Channelter, probably even better than Kyobei actually. Maybe even better than Surtur. You know what? I'm actually putting her above Surtur for now. Quercus. So Quercus is one of the best SP battery in the game. Is that enough to justify getting her in IS? Not really. Maybe again as a last operator if you really want to get some SP. Other than that, probably not something you should be recruiting. She's not bad. She can actually help a lot of operators to get going, operators that really want to use their skills a lot and that can tank some hits, for example your Degen Breaker, but that's about it. So I would say she's probably high C tier or low B tier. Yeah, I would put her very high C tier. Not something I would pick often. You know what, I can actually put her B tier, sure, very low B tier. Why not? Fiametta. Fiametta is annoying to use, I'm not gonna lie. She's very annoying to use because you need to have her constantly healed. She can do things for sure. She can deal a lot of damage and that's basically it. She's basically just gonna deal a lot of damage. That's the issue with Fiametta, is that she doesn't do much besides dealing damage. And she's a sniper, meaning if you want to compete in the role of dealing damage, you have to compete with Typhon, you have to compete with Ray, you have to compete with Whistle, you have to compete with Chenalter. It's very difficult to justify getting Fiametta over all the other units I've mentioned. So for this, I think she's probably going C, even D, I'm not sure. Probably low C tier, but it's definitely not something I would recruit most of the time. She requires too much micromanagement. She is, in my opinion, way below all the other operators I mentioned. Enforcer is a guy, I don't care. I would probably put him D tier, I'm not sure. I mean, he's a pusher, so who cares? Casemiro. Casemiro is either B or A tier. She's probably one of the strongest 5-star in IS in my opinion. I would say she's low A tier, simply because she's basically a lane holder that can deal a lot of physical damage, a lot of arts damage, is most of the time invincible. She doesn't need that much of a healer, but she probably needs other units that can block as well. So she's actually extremely strong. I used to start with Casemiro a lot. Again, it's very hard starting with a 5-star because you're in a weird situation where if you get more hope by leveling up, you only have 6 hope, so you can't recruit a 6-star. It's very weird. Still, I do think she deserves to be low A tier, in my opinion. Simply because there's also a lot of relics that allow her to work a lot. Most notably, if you can manage to use the Dollkeeper relic with her, she has a shit ton of attack speed. So yeah, I do believe, and also she benefits a lot from the spinach-like relics. So yeah, I do believe she deserves to be A tier for sure. Horn used to be the best damage dealer defender in the game before Jessica Alter was a thing. I'm not sure where she belongs nowadays. I still use her a bit. The reveal on her S1 can be useful, the damage on the S3 can be useful. She's actually one of the units I'm going for the most when I go for the supporter plus defender squad. I would say she's probably like low A tier, probably not something I want to recruit every time, but definitely a decent operator. Rock is one of the strongest casters in the game, weirdly enough, in terms of pure damage, and still I wouldn't recruit her most of the time because it's actually pretty hard to use and she lacks a lot of things to be very viable in my opinion. She lacks like range increase, not to be stunned at the end of a skill, and probably some CC as well. I'm not sure where I should put her. In my opinion, she's probably like high C tier, and that's about it. It's hard to justify picking her, even though she's probably one of the strongest non-6-star casters in the game. Heidi, this might come as a surprise, but in my opinion she's A tier. She's one of the strongest buffers in the game actually. If you finish a run and you don't know who to pick and you get offered a supporter voucher and you feel like you don't have enough damage, you can definitely pick Heidi. She's just that good, honestly. She works well with a lot of operators, as long as you don't need the block on the operators. So a lot of operators with range damage, most notably Golden Glow. She's actually very good with Golden Glow. So yeah, more than often I've used her in IS-3. I'm not using her a lot in IS-4, but it's just that I alternate between operators. So yeah, you can definitely pick Heidi. She's a very good unit in my opinion. Chestnut, don't care, guy. You probably want Mulberry or Honeyberry before him. Irene. Now, before Breaker was a thing, Irene was probably one of the strongest anti-air guard unit in the game. Now that Breaker is a thing, I still think she's not that bad. If you have some SP generation Relic and you're on IS-3, for example, where there's a lot of hovering units, she can still be decent, for sure. I think she's at the very low B tier, in my opinion. Probably not something you want to recruit most of the time, contrary to Breaker. But if you have a lot of SP generation, you think you can support her enough, then she can do wonders. Spectre Altar. Spectre Altar suffers from the same reason that other 6-star specialists suffer. In my opinion, a lot of the other 6-star specialists are better. Still, Spectre Altar is a very good unit to start with, a very good lane holder, and she also evolves into the run into a very good boss killer. So for that, she's definitely going A tier in my opinion. I just think that the other specialists are just better. Lumen, don't care. He's probably like B or A tier. He's one of the strongest healers in the game after all. Wenflit. I mean, he would be at the very low D tier, but he's a guy, so whatever. Erato. Erato is actually a very good operator if you just want to make units asleep. And that actually comes in handy for example, the last Knight. She's not as strong as Black Knight, for example, so I won't be putting her in B tier. She's probably like very, very low B tier, but still she's a tech unit, so yeah, sure, I can put her there. Ebonhalls, I have no idea, I've never played him. He's probably, I don't know, like his module, he might be actually A tier, I'm not sure. Chimney, same thing, I don't know. Hibi Altar. Hibi Altar is one of the techiest unit in the game, in that even if you lack some healing, and you lack arts damage, and you lack anti-air damage, you can pick Hibi Altar and she does all three of them, which is actually impressive. So Hibi Altar, just for that, is going A tier in my opinion. I often recruit Hibi Altar. She's, in my opinion, one of the strongest 5-stars in the game. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with her at all. Dorothy. Dorothy has an advantage is that her mines count as Foul Beast, and Dorothy has a disadvantage in that she's not Ella. It's very hard to say. In my opinion, she's an A tier operator. She does a lot of good things. She can destroy animals. She can have a lot of attacks thanks to Foul Beast. She can bind a lot of enemy units. She can lower defense with this one. There's a lot of things that she does. She can also hit air units, so she's a pseudo sniper. She covers a lot of role, and yet I would still probably pick Texas Altar, Yato Altar, or Ella over her anytime. So for this, she's probably going low A tier, but she's definitely a decent unit for sure. And if you don't have any of the units I mentioned, then she's probably S tier actually. Asjin. Asjin is not lazy out of 10. I don't think there's a single reason why I would pick Asjin. I'm probably gonna put her next to Pudding. She's probably a bit better because she can cover 2 lanes, but still she costs 1 more hope. Yeah, I don't see a reason why I would pick her. Also, I've had some very bad experience with Asjin where in IS-4 I would, for example, trigger all the sheeps because her S1 would actually hit a lot of units, or I would trigger the Sarka's enemies in the first floors. So yeah, sometimes she can be actually very tricky to use, so I don't like her, sorry. Grey Altar, don't care. If I had to rate, I'm not sure actually. Grey Altar, probably D tier, I'm not sure. Gabriel Altar. Gabriel Altar, in my opinion, is very low S tier. She's one of the best lane holders in the entire game. It's absurd how good she is at lane holding. Her S2, if you don't know, pulls enemies towards her, and usually this cancels their attack animation, meaning she's actually extremely tanky just for this. Also, there's a lot of holes in IS-4, she can pull enemy in those, she can heal with S1 in case, she can transform into a boss killer with S3. She's actually so freaking good. It's just that Surtur and Deacon Breacher are such monsters that Gabriel Altar actually is probably lower than them. Still, when I was starting IS-4, she was definitely my go-to guard, simply because 3 blocks, pull enemies, more horizontal range, more vertical range, healing, that's so much in one single operator. Poziomka. Poziomka is probably the same. She's a low S tier in my opinion. Not because she's bad, because, well, I would easily put her high S tier, but it's just that there's a lot of competition again in snipers. But Poziomka is basically Schwarz that benefits from Foul Beast, which is extremely strong. Cantabile. So Cantabile is a bit like Black Knight in the sense that she's a 5-star operator, a Vanguard operator that can hit air, but she can do arts damage, she can't make enemies asleep. So I would say nowadays I don't see a reason why I would pick Cantabile over other units. It's pretty weird picking a Vanguard that is not Myrtle or not a 3-star or not Ines, because you're spending a lot of hope just to have someone that can generate DP. So it's actually pretty weird. I would put her like in low C tier. That's a weird thing, right? Because she's very strong, and yet I would probably never pick her simply because, again, spending 4 hope just to get someone that can hit air. I guess if you really want to hit air and you are only getting a Vanguard, I would still pick Black Knight most of the time. Okay, maybe she can be a bit higher, but yeah, that's about it. Minimalist. Minimalist is a guy, I don't care. Minimalist is actually very powerful. Like, sometimes I start with the squad that gives me random 5 stars. And Minimalist, I had a run with Minimalist and he was actually very powerful. Like, it's actually incredible. I would probably put him in maybe, I don't know, maybe B tier. Like, for a 5-star, that's actually incredible. Winar is a guy, I don't care. He's definitely S tier. Like, there's absolutely no reason Winar wouldn't be S tier, but he's a guy, so yeah. Proviso, D tier. Proviso is range Lapland. This doesn't sound good, and that's because it's not. There's little reason to pick Proviso over Lapland. She's probably like high D tier, pretty high D tier. Still, I wouldn't pick Proviso over a lot of units. Highmore. Highmore, I used to recruit her a lot in IS3, and then I just realized that color is honestly just better. Highmore used to be extremely, I would say at the very beginning of IS3, she was probably A tier. And then they had the idea of releasing stages that have hovering units for some reason, and then suddenly her value dropped because you need anti-air even on the first floor in IS3. That was a weird decision from HG. So anyway, I think Highmore's value plummeted a lot, and in my opinion, she's probably only C tier now. Like, I'm sorry, I would pick Cutter over Highmore most of the time, simply because, again, because of these freaking stages. That's actually so sad, because before these stages, in my opinion, she was A tier. I guess I can put her like very, very, very low B tier, but that's about it. Like, no, I can't even justify this. I'm going to put her like high C tier. I'm sorry. Tulip is, in any case, she's right next to her mates. She's probably A tier. She's a Vanguard that can hit air, that can deal quite a lot of damage and generate DP, so that's actually pretty strong. Cat is going there. I have no idea how good this is. I'm not sure. Like, ask Silvergun, he probably knows more than me. Stainless is a guy, I don't care. He's probably very low because there's much better supporters in my opinion. Dagda, I don't see a single reason why you would pull Dagda, so she's going D tier. Paprika, Paprika is D tier. Why this character and this class exist, I don't know, don't ask me. Toru, so if Toru was a girl, she would be A tier, in my opinion, right next to Cruise Altar, or maybe even like, yeah, probably right next to Cutter or Pinecone. The fact that he's a guy means, well, he goes there. Penance, so weirdly enough, I don't think Penance is that high in IS. Like, she's probably going right next to Mudrock. Where's Mudrock again? Okay, Mudrock is in B, so she's probably going in B too, because there's a little reason to use Penance. In IS3, she's not gonna be that useful because of all the hovering enemies. In IS4, I guess she can be useful as a very early lane holder, and that's about it. She can't even be that useful against Aethernia, contrary to Mudrock with a shield. Yeah, I don't see a reason why I would put Penance anywhere. In my opinion, Hoshiguma is even better than both. Texas Altar, I mean, I don't think this comes as a surprise. Like, Texas Altar is, in my opinion, probably the strongest operator in IS. It's not even a question. She absolutely demolishes IS3 by herself. because she can renders all hovering units completely useless. In IS-4 she's also very strong because of a stun and because arts damage have been buffed. She's just so strong, it's absolutely absurd. Luna Cub is a child. Canny Palette would have a niche, the same niche as Mostima, who is in B tier, so he would probably be B tier. Quartz. So Quartz, I have tried to make her work. It's basically when I was deciding what 4-star I should be picking in IS-4 in order to lose the less amount of HP possible before I can recruit a 6-star, because I finally get 7 hope. And it was between Quartz, Estelle, Cutter. Yeah, these were the 3 candidates, and Cutter was the clear winner. And Quartz actually held herself well if you have a healer. So she's not entirely useless, but there's absolutely no reason why you should put Quartz instead of Cutter, in my opinion. That's the main issue, is that she's basically Cutter but less good. So for this, she's probably going like low C tier, and that's about it. Vigil, I don't know, and I frankly don't care. Redalter is easily S tier. Like, she is the strongest healer, quote unquote, in the game. She is basically not a healer, she is a caster that can heal. This is why I mentioned there are 2 S tier medics, and one of them is Calcit, the other one is not Reed. I mean, you pretty much know who it is, but never consider Redalter a medic, consider her an actually functional AoE caster. Harmony, as well as pretty much all operators in her class, are going D tier, beside Indigo, because she just doesn't do anything. Like, she doesn't do anything, I'm sorry. Puzzle is a guy, he's pretty much Cantabile, but even less good, so yeah. Lyn is very interesting. I have picked Lyn with a lot of great results, actually. You pick her when you want arts damage, and also you kind of want to tank things. She also has a lot of synergy with the Bard Relic, I mean Bard and Phalanx Caster and so on. So in my opinion, she's not quite S tier, but she's definitely at the very top of A tier. Like, she's actually a very interesting and impressive unit, particularly since her module dropped. I won't recruit her every time, but whenever I recruit her, I rarely regret it. Shangyu, I don't care, he's a guy, I'm not sure where he's going even. Like, probably, like, I don't know, A or B tier. Fire Whistle had an interesting niche before. She was actually the best 5-star defender to pick as a starter, because she used to deal quite a lot of damage, and then Underflow happened. So nowadays I would pick Underflow over her anytime. I still think she's probably like mid C tier, probably here. Nowadays just pick Underflow if you really want a defender starter with a 5-star. Ji-Yoon, I don't see a single reason why I would put Ji-Yoon. I mean, she's pretty much like Shirayuki. Where did I put Shirayuki? She's gonna get next to Shirayuki. She's here, okay, so she's going next to Shirayuki. Next is one of my favorite units, Xiaobai. Xiaobai is extremely impressive in IS, in my opinion. If you have the right amount of attack speed, then she can benefit from spinach-like relics. She benefits a lot from offensive recovery relics. She can also benefit from natural recovery relics. She benefits also from puppet-like relics that can bind units. She can attack air, she can deal physical, she can deal arts damage, she can deal AoE damage. She can basically do anything. She even has some quote-unquote survivability, because basically if enemy units are bound, then they can't reach Xiaobai. So if they can't reach Xiaobai, they can't attack her. So Xiaobai, in my opinion, I would probably put her either very low S tier or very high A tier. Where did I put Gavial? I would put her right next to Gavial. She basically does the same thing, but can also deal arts damage and hit air. So you might be wondering, why is she not above Gavial? Because Gavial has more survivability, which often can be more useful, particularly in the early game. But yeah, definitely a very interesting unit in my opinion. Windchime. Where did I put Quartz? Yeah, you know what? I don't really care. Windchime is going D tier. Like, there's no reason to pick Windchime. She's just bad. Yatualter. Yatualter is definitely going S tier. She's not quite as strong as Texas Alter, but she is definitely one of the strongest operators in the game. Usually, when you get a specialist and you have 7 hope, you either want Texas Alter, Yatualter, or Ella. It depends on your stage of the game. It depends on your relics too. But yeah, there's no denying she's an S tier. Noir Cornelter, I don't care. This guy, I don't care. U-Official. U-Official is a very, very, very interesting unit. I know I've said this many times, but this time I really mean it. because she costs 0 hope to recruit and is a 6-second stun. This is not a useless operator. This is absolutely not a useless operator, absolutely something that can be considered sometimes. I'm gonna pick Orchid over her most of the time. Where's Orchid? She's there, yeah. She's definitely, in my opinion, going high C tier, but there's definitely some place to use her, for sure. Ines, I don't know where to start with Ines. I mean, she's obviously S tier, like, there's absolutely no denying this. Like, she's so freaking strong. Ines can do so many things. It's actually incredible. She can hit air. She has basically survivability because all enemies that are coming towards her are slowed. She can reveal invisible enemies. She benefits from puppet-like items in the early game, which deal a lot of damage in the early game. She can bind enemies. Oh, also, by the way, she can generate DP because, yeah, she's a Vanguard, whatever. She's basically the only 6-star Vanguard I absolutely want to recruit. She's just that strong. Cement. Meme aside, Cement is not really a good unit. I'm sorry. She's definitely going D tier. I don't really know where to put her, probably like here. Morgan. The shield can come in handy, I suppose, but ultimately she's just a duelist that can do much. So yeah, probably here, whatever. Hummus would definitely go probably A tier in my opinion. Maybe S, I'm not sure. Because he's a guy, he's going there, but yeah, definitely a good unit. Hulheyak, because there are some very specific relics for her, like the levitation one, and because also Aethionia exists, she's definitely going low B tier, probably like around here. She has her uses. It depends on the ending. For example, if you're going for Aethionia, Hulheyak is an S tier, same as Mustima. If you're going for... You know what? I'm actually gonna put her next to Mustima. Yeah. These can be both used for Aethionia. Molces. I actually haven't tried Molces a lot. Weirdly enough, whenever I tried her, it went horribly for some reason. I'm not sure why. Molces is actually very impressive. It's just that if I want a Vanguard, I'm not gonna recruit Molces. I'm gonna recruit Molces because I want some range damage, which is weird. Right? So I'm gonna recruit Molces whenever I get offered a Vanguard, and I absolutely want some, for example, arts damage, and I have a healer already, so I can convert the damage to arts. So it's a very weird unit, very techy, I would say. So for this, she's probably going B. Yeah. Alright. Silence Altar. I mean, I know a lot of people are gonna hate on me for this, but there's never a single time where I want to recruit Silence Altar. If you want survivability, just pick defense for Dattles or Relics or Laser Shield or whatever, but don't pick Silence Altar. Like, spending 7 hope just to have your units maybe not to die is weird, in my opinion. I don't know, maybe she's going low C tier, maybe. Sounds weird to like put her that below, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm going for the very low C tier. That's it. Melanite, probably no reason to use her, I would say. Freestorm. Freestorm is, I don't care. Executor Altar is a guy, so I don't care. I'm not sure where he would be going. Executor Altar would probably be B tier, probably. The issue with Executor Altar is that he's a lane holder, and there's a lot of competition for lane holders that can do more than that. Like, for example, Gabriel Altar. I don't know, maybe he is as good as Gabriel Altar, I'm not sure. Maybe, I'm not sure. Sporia is a meme, so definitely D tier. Like, Sporia can be used for very specific units, those that have a very low attack speed and very high attack, so for example Typhon. But honestly, the issue with Sporia is that you're recruiting a unit that literally needs healing in order to function. So you're using Sporia and a healer just to buff your Typhon. I guess she also works with Wizarda. I don't know, maybe now that Wizarda is out, she's probably like maybe Heidi. I'm not sure. Like, okay, sure, let's put her Heidi. Insider is a guy, I don't care. He's definitely one of the best entire sniper, but he's also competing with Crusalta, which is weird. Typhon is S tier. I mean, her value has dropped a lot, in my opinion, so she's not going high S tier, simply because nowadays we also have Ray, and we also have, well, Whistle, which, oh, we really wonder who this tier is for. Still, she is still one of the best units in the game, in my opinion. Her S3 is extremely powerful. I had very successful runs with her S3. Her S2 is a very good lane holding skill. It's just that it takes a lot to get it going, but yeah, a very good unit, regardless. Centaur. Centaur is a 5-star AoE caster. I don't need to say more than that. Vara Queen. So Vara Queen is boosted in Ice 4. Vara Queen, in my opinion, when Ice 4 was released, was probably a B tier unit. Nowadays, we have Virtuosa, so she's probably C tier. Yeah, I would say C tier is good for her. She's not that good anymore. She's not completely useless for sure. Eyjafjall Altar. So I did say there were 2 healers in S tier, and I did say Reed Altar was not a healer. She's only a caster that disguises as a healer. Eyjafjall Altar is obviously the second healer that is going to S tier. Eyjafjall Altar, if I'm lacking a good healer, she is the healer you want. She is literally the best healer in the game. That's not even a competition. You have her burst healing with S3, you have a consistent healing with S1. She's just that good. She also heals nervous impairment, corrosion, and so on. So yeah, just the best healer in the game. Swire Altar. Swire Altar is a 6-star specialist, and that should say enough of why she's not going that high. Still, Swire Altar is a very interesting unit. She has a lot for her. She can slow enemies, she can push enemies, she can deal quite a lot of physical damage. She can even heal allies with her S1, so she's a pseudo J, but at this point just pick J. Like, where did I put J? Oh, J is, yeah, obviously there. I would say she's very, very low B tier, probably like around here, simply because if you get a specialist and you don't want to pick J for some reason because you're playing waifus like me and you really need healing, then Swire Altar can do the trick for sure, but you might as well probably skip and pick something that prevents you from having to heal like Ella that can kill enemies from long range, and then pick a Hibiscus. But still, I think she can work, but she's very weird to evaluate. Poncerus, no reason to pick her. D tier. Briofita is one of the worst units in the game. D tier. Jessica Altar. Okay, so Jessica Altar has an interesting story. Before Jessica Altar was released, I used to struggle a lot in IS4, to be fair. And then Jessica Altar was released. She is an absolute monster. She's a monster. There's literally nothing she can do. She doesn't need any healing because she's so tanky. She has 5 blocks. She can hit aerial units. She can reveal invisible with her module. She can deal AoE damage. She has increased vertical range. She has increased horizontal range. I don't know what she can't do. She can do everything. She can even switch the side in which she attacks. She's so versatile. She's so good. She's absolutely going S tier, that's for sure. There's not even denying this. She's, in my opinion, the strongest lane holder, even higher than Gabriel Altar, that you can start with. She's just that good, and even in the late game she doesn't stay useless, because there's a lot of synergies with her. You can use, for example, the spinach like if you deploy the shield first and then use her as 3. She has that monstrous relic that increases defender's attack by 60%. She's just so good. Alright, cold shot. Useless. D tier. Almond. D tier. I don't see a reason why I would get her. Hoderer is a guy. He would probably be, I don't know, probably C tier? I don't see a reason why you pick Hoderer over a lot of other gods. Vendela. Vendela is basically Hibiscus Altar, but weirder to use and less practical to use, while Hibiscus Altar is much more straightforward. For this alone, I would probably put her low C tier. I don't see a reason why I would use her. Yeah, she's probably even D tier, I'm not sure. Delphine. She's a mystic caster, so D tier. Verdant is one of the worst 4 stars in the game. I think Silvergun has made an entire video to showcase him, and that should say a lot. Still, he's a guy, so he's going here. Virtuosa. So Virtuosa is a very specific unit, because most units that start at E1 don't get very powerful until they get their E2, and so they scale with the run and they become stronger at the end of the run. Virtuosa is basically the opposite. She's extremely strong in the early game because 12k damage in the early game is just ridiculous. She can basically solo most maps. But in the late game, I would often remove my Virtuosa from my team to pick something else. The issue with Virtuosa is that she scales very badly with the run. Still, because she has such a strong early game and she's one of the few 6-star supporters I would pick as a waifu enjoyer, I think she probably deserves low S tier or high A tier. I would say high A tier, probably not S tier. You know what, I'm willing to put her in S tier, simply because she has such a strong early game, and also because I'm also thinking about this girl who is probably gonna buffer. Viviana. So Viviana has now in CN, I believe, a very strong module that allows her to burn enemies, which is very interesting. I am eager to play this, but for now Viviana is I would say she's probably like C tier, because her shield can come in handy, but she's probably one of the worst 6-star, I would say. Maybe I could, I don't know. I'll probably put her here also because she's a guard and there's so many good guards. Why would you even pick Viviana? Lessing is a guy and is probably D tier. Baseline is a guy and is probably, I don't know, probably like B or C tier. Diamante is a guy and is probably D tier. Caper is weird. Caper goes directly beside Mei because they pretty much do the same thing. Mei is better if enemies stay far away and Caper is better if enemies are closer. Degenbrecher, I mean, I keep on saying, yeah, 6-star guards are so good. I think so far there's only Surtur as a... No, there's also Gavial Alter. Degenbrecher is absolutely going S tier, probably one of the strongest. Even stronger than Surtur in my opinion, because the defense ignore is so good. The tremble effect is so good. She has so much synergy with relics. Even in the early game, she still has 2 blocks. She's just so strong. I would say if you're a newer player and you want to get a unit that can do a lot of things, definitely go for Degenbrecher. She can easily kill a lot of bosses. Leto. I have to admit, I have basically never played her, so I can tell for sure. In my opinion, she's basically Lapland, but much worse, because no silence, less damage, an unpractical skill actually that makes all other useless students attack, which is weird. I'm not sure. She's probably going high D tier, probably. This guy, whose name I forgot, I don't care. Ray. Right, so before Wizardle happened, Ray was, in my opinion, the best 6-star sniper in the game. Ray is an absolute monster in IS. She's just a monster. She deals extremely high damage. She can basically solo every boss by herself. And also, if you can manage to get the Foul Beast, she will deal just absurd damage. You will see like 17k damage per attack. That is just ridiculous. Not only that, but you can do so many things with a Sand Beast. You can attack like below her, you can attack so much far away. If her S3 is activated, she has so much horizontal range. She's just absurd, honestly. Because Wizardle exists, she can go into the bra tier, but she's just so strong. Wami, cute and funny rabbit, she's a child. Shu. So Shu is definitely going next to Saria, and Saria was here. They are pretty much the same, except Saria increases odds damage taken, and Shu increases other stats like attack and attack speed, and also prevents Aethionia from moving away, which is very funny. She's one of the strongest operator you can currently recruit to kill Aethionia, and for this alone, that should at least be B or A, but on top of that, she's also extremely strong. She has a pretty difficult early game, I would say. Still an extremely good unit that you can make use basically everywhere. Alright, Jolet, I don't care, is a guy. If I cared, he would probably go like S tier? Feel free to comment how good Jolet is. I have no idea, I've never played him. I don't think I've seen a single video where people use him. He's probably very good, but I have no idea. Grainbuds, D tier. I don't see why I would use her. Wanxing, guy, don't care. She's probably Elysium, but less good. Kestrel was not designed for IS at all, so she's probably going D tier next to a lot of vanguards. That's it. Ella is absolutely S tier. Like, there's absolutely no reason why I wouldn't put her S tier. She's basically a sniper in disguise. She's a specialist that actually works like a sniper. She has an extremely strong S3 that can be boosted with various ways, with her mines, with Foul Beast, with so many things actually. So she's absolutely going S tier. I really hope she gets a rerun for new players, because you should absolutely get her if you intend to play integrated strategies. Nothing much to say, she's just that good. Fuse, I don't care, he's a guy, I don't think he's that good. Iana is not Kazemaru out of 10, is how I would basically rate her. Wine Kazemaru is an 80 unit. I think Ilana is C, maybe D tier. I don't see a reason why I would use her. Like, honestly, feel free to correct me on this, but I think she's like C, maybe D tier, I'm not sure. C only because she can like tank attack with her clone, and that's about it. Honestly, it's pretty much the sole reason. Doc, I don't care. Ascalon is very weird, because while she's a 6-star specialist and you know how good 6-star specialists are now, I would say Ascalon is probably pretty good. It's a unit that you would usually recruit in the late game, unlike most other 6-star specialists that you want to recruit either in the early or the mid game. I think Ascalon is probably an A tier that can be used for actually great results. So yeah, in my opinion, she's going A tier, probably like around here. Aroma, there's absolutely no reason to use Aroma. I don't even remember this guy's name, so yeah. Lutonada. Lutonada is, in my opinion, not that good. If I want to start with a 4-star defender, I would probably actually pick Durna. I don't think Lutonada is that good. I'm gonna put her next to Durna. Let's skip this one for now. Logos is a guy. Okay, Civilite Eternia. Basically, if you don't have Skadi Altar and you want a buffer that can also deal some true damage, they are not very high, but can benefit from the other Civilite Eternia item. But the most interesting part about her is that she can bind for a very long time, which actually makes her pretty interesting compared to Skadi Altar. I'm not sure where I would put her. Like, where did I put Skadi Altar? I think I put her in B tier, right? Yeah, I put her here. I would probably put her next to Skadi Altar for now. Fang Altar. Fang Altar is the strongest 5-star Vanguard that is not Black Knight. Should you pick her? Probably not. Because, well, I mean, at the end of the day, she's still like a Vanguard. The goal of a Vanguard is to generate EP, so the regular Fang can do pretty much what she does, but probably better. You can recruit her, I suppose, but it's at the very most low B tier. I would say low B tier or high C tier. Yeah, probably here. Fono is very weird, because you can basically inflict 12k damage with this guy, right? You need to deal so many attacks. I think it's 15 when you are at full pot or something like that. 15 hits is... I mean, you can do it, but it takes so long. He's probably not D tier simply because he can do something. In any case, he's going there, but still. Ulpian is a guy, he would probably be like S or A tier. I'm not sure actually. In IS it's pretty hard to gauge because he can't heal that much. I'm not sure. Lucilla, there's basically no reason why you should use Lucilla over Pramanix, for example. So probably very low D tier. Yeah, I don't really care where. Underflow, since she's the last unit because all the others are unreleased, Underflow is actually, in my opinion, a B tier unit. For two reasons. First of all, she has a boost against Sea Terrors, which actually makes her pretty interesting in Ice 3 most notably. And second of all, because she's basically mini Jessica Alter. Same module that can reveal invisible enemies. She can slow enemies, she can deal damage over time. She doesn't have the horizontal range, she doesn't have as much damage obviously, but she also costs less hope. I think she can be used, and she's probably one of the strongest non-6-star defender that is used to both deal damage and lane hold, not used to heal like a Gummy, for example. I would say she's probably like low B tier. She can be used for sure. I can't wait to have her max trust and actually use her more. I'll probably do a video about this. And finally, we have Whistle. I mean, I waited this whole video for this. Whistle is even above S tier in my opinion. She's by far currently the strongest operator in the game. She can solo Ice 3, she can solo Ice 2, she can solo Ice 4 basically. She basically broke the game in a way. So yeah, if you get her, you can annihilate the whole integrated strategies mode. I heard she's also very strong in Ice 5, which makes sense. So yeah, this is gonna wrap it up. There's probably a lot of things you disagree with, most notably among lower rarity operators and lower tiers. Like for example, I know some people would disagree on Blaze in C tier or W in C tier, or maybe about Carnelian in D tier. That's fine. Again, this is a very subjective tier list. Maybe I could prove myself wrong in the future if I played more Carnelian, for example. I'm not sure. Anyway, thank you for watching and see you in the next video.